and welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and today we are going to be talking about Thursday Night Football, the Lions and Cowboys. I usually don't recap it on a Friday, but because it's a big game and it was a special occasion, we'll do it, and then we'll get into the college football. We'll get into my title game predictions: UVA, Duke, IU, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and I'll also give y'all a quick pick tonight for North Texas Tulane. But we do have to start in the NFL because that's what happened last night. 44-30, high scoring game. The Lions just offensively killed the Dallas defense. Well, and I'm starting with the Detroit side of this first. Obviously, it felt like a must-win for both teams. But Detroit, you last night you saw why Detroit could be a team that's dangerous in the playoffs. It felt obviously they felt different than the past even 3 years. Even I'll say the last 3 years they felt different. From an offensive standpoint, really, they've been very inconsistent, up and down. When they're up like this. When they've been down, it's been eh. So, look, it was a whiteout. It was a must win. Look for them. Detroit, if they lost this, they're not winning the division game. The playoffs would have been almost dead or pretty much dead and over. They needed this game. And I think St. Brown playing on that bad ankle and having a very good performance, may I add, was so huge. And I think the reason it was so huge in this football game was it set a tone. It's a must win. My guys need me. If we win this, we're 8-5. We can have a good chance. Depending on what happens in that NFC North game, depending on what happens on the game with the Bears and Packers, you had to get this game, because you probably want the Bears to win that game because you do play the Bears one more time and you already beat them in terms of that wild card. I think if they lose this week, they're the 1 seed right now. If they lose, they drop to 7. It's crazy. They took a big blow last night, though. Brian Branch has torn his Achilles. He's pretty much out for the season. So, yeah, and look, this was such a big win because these next 4, you're at Ram. You've got 3 of these 4 on the road. You're at the Rams. That's massive. You've got the Steelers. You should win that, but we don't know. Then you're at Vikings. You should, and then you're at the Bears. You have to win all 4 of these games, I believe. Now, they usually have the Rams number. We'll see if that's true again. But to me, if you win the next 2, you're in a pretty good spot to make the playoffs, in my opinion. I think 12-5 in the NFC will get you in. If it does, then again, the NFC's on the crack right now, so I don't even know. Offensively, they're still top 5 offense. Look, this was a game that they needed. After last week, let Lions country down with the way they played, mainly on the defensive side of the ball. The defense, I think, was better in this game, even though they still gave up 30. They did force Dak to throw 2 picks. They did sack Dak 5 times. Even though Dak threw the ball still around the lot for 376, because that is still a good offense over there. I think they did enough to win. Obviously, they got up 27-9, and the Cowboys tried to come back, and they were able to hold that cushion. Obviously, I think their special teams set them up a lot. Jacob Sailors and Tom Kennedy have great returns every single time that really set them up. And also, you have to think about it like this. I think the reason Detroit was able to win this game was because they forced Dallas to kick a lot of field goals. Aubrey was 5 for 5. He kicked a lot of field goals in this game. Detroit didn't kick as many. And they got more touchdowns. They only scored 50 points. And obviously, that's why they won the game. The massive win for Dallas for Detroit, and this is really what they needed in terms of the playoff picture. Again, you've been looking at Detroit this season. They're not the same. What's going on? Why aren't they playing up to their capabilities this season? Like, what's happening? And you saw if that offense can play, because they can play up to that every week, I believe. Obviously, Gibbs, he had 3 touchdowns. It wasn't like crazy. But in terms of the scrimmage yards, they use him in so many different ways. He caught 7 balls for 77 yards. If this offense can get everybody involved, Montgomery had a big run. If they could get everybody involved like they did last night, they're so tough to stop, and I really do believe. And Goff was really good and really efficient, no turnovers. I really do believe that if they sneak in, they've got a roster to where they can win the Super Bowl. I really do believe that in terms of the talent roster. But it's going to be really hard. Again, they've been up and down this season, Detroit. So it's a great win for them. I want to go to the Dallas side of this as well. A lot of people are going to be talking about George Pickens not giving the effort, and I'm just like, dog, we can't have this. It reared its ugly head. You're like, we can't. Look, we can't. Biggest game of the season, and there's a couple times where he's jogging on routes. I'm just like, what is happening here? What are we doing? Dallas didn't play their best game. Obviously, defensively, it was a train wreck. It was a disaster. It got to a point where it was 37-30, and you're thinking Dallas just give one stop and let Dak try to maybe go do this. Obviously, that didn't happen. 5 plays. Detroit goes up 2 scores, and obviously they go and win the game. Dallas has to run the table. Can they still win the division? Depending on if Philly loses to the Chargers, Philly has down the stretch, man. Philly, they play the Bills, the Raiders, and the Commanders twice. I'm not loving it. The Cowboys may win out and still miss the playoffs. You would need some total chaos in the NFC for them to be 10-6-1 and be a wild card team. Like, you would need massive chaos. Like, if you're Dallas, you'd need, I don't even know what you need. Like, I guess you'd need one of the NFC West teams to fall off a cliff. You'd probably need Chicago to drop so many games in a row. Dallas feels done. They feel done. And I felt like one of the 2 teams, obviously, if they lost, they'd feel done. Dallas, if they didn't have that tie and they were 7-6, I'm like, maybe there's still a chance of unless Philly like loses to the Raiders or the Commanders once or something, and the Chargers, or they just lose to the Chargers and the Bills, and they would have to lose one of those Commanders games. It's not looking good for Dallas. It's really not looking good for them. But the Lions, it looks better. Their schedule's not like, oh my goodness, it's the hardest on the planet. Like, they got games in it. Like, Detroit, the division, I think, is done because it would take a lot for them to win. I feel like because look, even though Chicago, they can catch them. It really depends because Green Bay they've swept them, so that's a tiebreaker. It I would have to go through the mathematics. I think they could still win it, but they would obviously need a lot of help. Whereas if they had won on Thanksgiving, they still kind of controlled their own destiny because they would play Chicago one more time. It's a tough one. It's tough, but 44-30, very good win. Okay, let's go back here to uh all right, let's go back here to the American Championship game tonight, Friday on ABC. Friday night ABC, let's talk about it. So let's get into it. The American Championship game, ladies and gentlemen. We have North Texas at Tulane. North Texas this season 11-1, Tulane 10-2. Tulane this season, their two losses have come to. I know one of them was at Ole Miss, and I'm forgetting the other one. It was at Ole Miss. I'm trying to find it obviously here in the schedule, but Tulane's been a very, you could say, consistent team all year. Yeah, they got killed at Ole Miss, and then they have the loss to at UTSA. Don't even give me. We're not here to talk about the playoff format. We're here to talk about the game. North Texas is currently a 2.5 point favorite here. I think you have to take into account that even though the game's at Tulane, I feel like North Texas has been trending more well. I also think from an offensive perspective, that quarterback, he's really playing well. Their only loss this season is to South Florida, who I thought was going to go to the American Conference title, the AAC title game, and I thought they were going to make the playoff. This conference, the Mean Green have a chance to do something special here. Both teams do, really. Look, both coaches are going to be on two different jobs. The Oklahoma State the coach of North Texas is taking the Oklahoma State job, and the coach of North Texas North Texas of Tulane is going to be taking, obviously, Summerall, the Florida job. So this is their last hurrahs here in this game. Just give me North Texas. I just think North Texas offensively, a lot of teams haven't been able to stop them this year. And I also believe you want to be playing your best brand of football at the end of the season, and I do believe that North Texas right now is doing that, even though it's on the road. I just think North Texas finds a way to pull it out on the road. I think they score probably 38. They win probably 38-31. I do expect it to be a high-scoring game. I do think North Texas is balanced in that true mess maker, man. Stud. If he goes into the portal, assuming he follows their coach to Oklahoma State, that'd be a big get for them. So, yeah. Now, let's get also if JMU win, they probably will win tonight. They'll probably clobber Troy, and we'll see what their future holds after. Now, Saturday. We've already talked about BYU Texas Tech. Obviously, I chose Texas Tech. Now, let's go to the SEC champ. Actually, no, we're not going to go there first. I was going to go in chronological order, but nah. Let's go to UVA Duke. Virginia with has the ACC's hopes in the balance. Their chance at the playoffs most likely relies on Virginia. Okay. They've already played Duke. They played them a couple weeks back, probably about 4 weeks back. And Virginia won that game 38-17, I believe. Or 34-17, I think it might have been a score. They're playing again. Darian Mensah, in my opinion, I've talked about him. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. He's got to be spectacular in this game. He just has to be. Again, you go back to that game where they played. Mensah was 213, 1 touchdown, but he's going to have to be better than that. They turned the ball over once. I think he fumbled. They couldn't run the ball. Virginia, to me, the difference in the game is going to be the line of scrimmage. If you're Duke, you've got to be able to stop the run. Again, last game, they ran for 224 yards. Jamari Taylor ran for 2 touchdowns, and he had 133. Again, Virginia is a very balanced attack. They do have playmakers on that team. Jamari Taylor, I think Chandler Morris is good as well. Cam Ross, Trell Harris had a big game when they play. I do think they have playmakers on that team. I think also the key for Duke, you have to look at it like this. You did force Chandler Morris to throw 2 interceptions. Chandler Morris at times force him into bad decisions. At times, you just force him into bad decisions. So you're gonna have to do that again. Again, a part of me of this game, and I'm just gonna be honest, a part of me really thinks with this game that there could be some officiating malpractice in this game. I'm not that big of a conspiracy theorist, but they're going to want Virginia in that playoff if that's their only hope, because they're not trying to put in their hands a committee with Miami. It's going to be very interesting. Darian Mensah. The ACC's been so chaotic this season, man. And it's hard to beat a team twice in a season. It's very hard. I also think, obviously, the pressure, you got to get pressure on both of these quarterbacks, but both of them can run. I think Mensah's probably a better runner than Chandler Morris is. Again, I've been high on Darian Mensah all season. When you watch him, got arm talent, can run, very accurate at times. Now, sometimes he makes some questionable decisions at times, but I think he's really been good at protecting the football this year. Only 4 picks. So, yeah, this conference has been so weird. A playoff spot is on the line. Who is going to do it? Is it going to be Virginia? Is Virginia going to be able to do it? This conference has been so weird. And if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't see this ending any other way than a Duke win. I just, with this conference, again, we've got Georgia Tech having a chance to clinch the ACC title game, and they lose to Pitt, and then Pitt gets killed by Miami. And in Miami, there's a 4-way tie. They're not even in. SMU, it's a winning in. They lose to Cal. Cal's got like an interim head coach. Clemson wasn't as good as advertised this season, yet they lose to Georgia Tech, yet they go and beat Louisville. Don't ask me why, because I have no idea with this conference. Why would I know? But Georgia Tech beat Duke. Georgia Tech's also 6-2. So the team the team that they beat already, that has the same conference record, is going, because it is insane what's going on in the ACC. Don't ask me because I genuinely can't give an answer for you. Look, I'm going to go with Duke just because it I think it's hard to beat a team twice in just like in this day and age of college football. It's hard to do that. And B, partially because with this conference this season, you don't know what to expect. You think you know, and then you don't. You think you know Miami's the best team, then they lose 2 out of 3 weeks. Or you think, okay, Georgia Tech, they're playing well, then they go and struggle with Boston College, and then they go and get killed by Pitt. Okay, maybe SMU, they're gonna do it again. Nope, lose to Cal. Even Virginia lost to Wake Forest. Like you don't know. And Virginia could have an extra loss because they played NC State, who's in the ACC, but that wasn't scheduled as like an ACC game. I guess that was a non-conference game, so it doesn't count. Like this conference, I should have knew from that point, from that start. Oh, you think Florida State's good? Yeah, they're just gonna go 5-7 and lose to all these teams. So I got nothing for you on this conference. I'm picking Duke. I think Duke's gonna find a way to win this game probably in the most hilarious fashion you can think of. That's probably what's gonna happen. In the most hilarious fashion you can think of. Yeah, give me the Dukies. Give me the Blue Devils to win this game. I think Duke finds a way to win a 24-21 game-winning field goal. I really do believe this. And I think things get very interesting and probably very hilarious. I think Duke finds a way to win because of course they do in this conference. I I don't I got none for you. I got none for you. All right, all right. Let's talk about the SEC championship game. The SEC championship game is massive here. Georgia and Alabama. Georgia, very beat. Number 3 versus number 9, Georgia, very beat up. As well as Alabama, very beat up. Again, with Georgia, it's very interesting. No Drew Bobo, the son of offensive coordinator Mike Bobo, who plays center, is like the captain of that offensive line. That that's a big deal. Alabama's banged up as well. So yeah, look, it's a part of the deal. When you make it this far and you've played as many good teams as these two teams have played, it's a pleasure to play here in Atlanta. And both teams are just beat up. They're beat up. That's part of the deal. I'm gonna be honest with you in terms of this game. When you go back and look at the first meeting in Alabama winning that game, Alabama got up early. Ty Simpson was just like unconscious. He was unconscious. And they still only won the game by like on third downs he was unconscious. To me, it's going to be about the criticals. Third down. It's going to be about like they were 13-19 on third down. That just doesn't happen. On the road, that just does not happen in that last game. Georgia's going to have to be better in the criticals. They ran the ball pretty well. They're going to have to be better with their play calling in the red zone as well. I personally think, obviously, I think they're two different teams. And when they met, I think Georgia's a better team. I think from an offense standpoint, I think they're a little bit better throwing the ball. Obviously, running the ball, they're still very good. Chauncey Bowens was the one that had the big game there. I think defensively, in terms of their DBs, they're better. I think their defense is really peaking at the right time here. Alabama, it's going to be crucial because Alabama, in that game, they didn't run the ball good. I still think, like, the last 3 weeks, and I don't know how many of you guys have been paying attention to this. I think Alabama's ran the ball very well. And really, they played Auburn. We're not going to count Eastern Illinois. Played Auburn. Ran the ball for 158 yards. And Jan Miller's averaging 5 yards a pop. Now, in the Oklahoma game, Daniel Hill, they had 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball for 4 yards a pop. Just didn't give him the ball enough, obviously. And Ty Simpson was trying to throw it all around a lot. Of course, the turnovers help. To me, the X factor, Ryan Williams, he's got to have a big game. I know this season, like, a lot of people will ask what in the world is going on with him. In how many ups, like just the ups and the downs that he's had in terms of this. He's got to have a big game. I know he dropped a touchdown in this playing Georgia early in the season. He's got to have a day. They're going to play a lot through the freshmen as well. Obviously, they've got Horton and they've got Bernard as well. I think Lloyd Brooks is going to get obviously some big time plays, reps as a freshman. He already has, but this is a big game he's going to play in, and they're going to need him to step up. And also another thing, I think going into that first Georgia matchup, Ty Simpson was red hot. He was just on a heater. Now it doesn't look like he is. He's against Auburn. It was shaky. Against Oklahoma, you were able to rattle him a little bit. It's hard to beat Kirby twice. And I know Bama beats Georgia. And a part of me I took Georgia last time. And I took Georgia last time. And I don't know who I'm taking this time. I took Georgia last time and it bit me. You know what? If I'm going down, I'm going down because if I'm going down, I'm going again. I'm gonna die on the Kirby sword. I'm dying on the sword. Think Georgia takes it, and we have an interesting situation where Alabama with 3 losses. We'll see. We'll see what they do. I'm dying on the sword. I'm dying on the sword. I believe Georgia wins this game. I believe it is tight, though. I believe Georgia finds a way to win again. I think they win this game probably 31-24. I think the key in the game is I think Gunnar Stockton plays better, but I also think they're better on third downs and in the criticals, and I think that is the difference, and that's why they win. All right. Now to the final preview. We've got the game of just number 1 versus number 2. The biggest game of the year in terms of obviously previewing. We got the Big Ten championship game. Number 2 Indiana, number 1 Ohio State. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt on Fox. Indiana's first time ever being in the Big Ten title game. Looking for the first Big Ten title since the 60s. Ohio State obviously has had success. Day's been here before, but they haven't been there since 2020. It's been 5 years since they've been in the Big Ten championship game. It goes down tomorrow. I'm just going to be honest about this game. And I don't know what other people's thoughts are in terms of this game. I believe that Indiana I think, okay, from a coaching perspective, I think Cignetti's going to have to coach his tail off in this game. That's going to be one aspect. Another aspect, they got to be able to run the ball. They have to be able to run the ball. To me, their defense, it's going to be interesting because I don't believe you're not putting D'Angelo Pons one-on-one on the island with Jeremiah Smith. That's just not happening. Respectfully. And D'Angelo Pons is like a very good DB. I think one of the most underrated DBs in countries. Doesn't get talked about enough. I don't care who you are in the country. You're not leaving Jeremiah Smith one-on-one versus anybody on an island. Because if you do that, he'll burn you. He'll burn you. They're a very balanced team. To me, in this game, if you're Indiana, I think you got to make them throw the ball all around the lot. And you got to let because I don't think you're going to be able to like get coverage sacks on them. I believe you are going to have to get after them like you did Oregon. You're going to have to run a lot of twists, which is what you do anyways. Your defensive line is going to have to win the line of scrimmage. That's going to be a war in church. Your defensive line is going to have to win that matchup. If that defensive line can get sand on the ground like they did Dante Moore, and I'm not saying they're going to sack him 6 times, but just pressure him. I think Indiana is going to have a legit chance to win this game. Oh, these two teams are not that far off, in my opinion. I do think Indiana has the better quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. The matchup I'm interested to see is the corners and the receivers in this game. Surratt's a big body. Their best receiver missed a couple of games, is back. You add the fact that obviously Omar Cooper's still there. Then you still have Charlie Becker, who had came on, and it's just like, where did this guy come from? So he's like a number 3 receiver. To me, it's going to be interesting. How well can Indiana run the ball? Can Indiana, with those 3 backs, Martin, Black, Hemby, how well can they run the ball? It's going to be interesting matchup. Look, that matchup, Matt Patricia's defense, they just throw so many looks at you. And Brian Haynes is a great defensive coordinator in his own right. With Brian Haynes, I think he may be able to confuse Sand a little bit. I obviously think those linebackers, Isaiah Jones and Aiden Fisher, have got to be great. They've got to be spectacular. Obviously, I think the X factor for this game for Ohio State is their tight end Max Clare. There's going to be so much attention to Jeremiah Smith and Cornell Tate. Max Clare is probably going to have a lot of opportunities to make plays over the middle. I also believe an X factor for Indiana in this is probably, honestly, I'm going to go here with Omar Cooper. So much attention is going to be towards Surratt, and they're going to leave their DBs one-on-one. Like, they're not bringing any help. Patricia will do that. Like, they're not going to bring any help. They're like, you know what? My guy's better than your guy. In Indiana, in most games this year, their guy's been better than their guy, than the other team's guy, in terms of defensive backs. So, this is going to be an interesting game. It's in Indianapolis. Take that for whatever that's worth. Indiana's, I guess, backyard. I guess you can say it's going to be an insane crowd. It's going to be an insane game. Number 1 versus number 2 for a first round bye, obviously, for the number 1 seed, for the Heisman. But But I think Indiana. I think they squeak this out, man. I think Indiana shocks the world one more time, takes Ohio State into deep waters, and they find a way to win. Give me Indiana to win this game 27-23. All right, everybody. This has been your episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and until the next time, see ya.